Ladies and gentlemen, I was feeling the same when I saw this animation first time. It was a mixture of being shocked, or it was the first time that I saw the visualization of the increase in temperature since the start of industrialization. And yeah, something has changed the last 5 years, especially also since February this year. 5 years ago, I was an idealist. 3 years ago, I was a dreamer. And since February this year, I'm supposed to be an opportunistic investor because I invest in green tech companies, in renewable energy. So in 5 times a year, everything has changed around energy, around global security, about fossil fuels, about that, what we need every day. My name is Umut Ertan. I'm impact investor. I'm real estate investor. I established 10 companies, exited 2 companies 2 years ago. And yeah, I'm happy to speak today about impact investments, virtue, or is it a need in the fight against climate change? What contribution can the real estate and the construction industry make? This is my topic today. A few information about my background. I'm active in the industrial logistics segment since 1994. So almost 30 years. I established Realogists and RLI investors. So I'm aware about the regulations. I'm aware about the ESG regulations, which is necessary today. We heard a very nice conversation from Alexander Hopp and Nicole Bittlingmeier about the ESG regulations. And we will find out in the next, let's say, 20 minutes, is it a need, is it virtue, or is it today impossible to ignore all the facts which are happening in our world? A few facts you can read here more. We can talk about that later after my presentation. What is impact? Impact is something where we, as an impact investor, want to measure it. There are sustainable development goals which are established by the UN, and I just want to highlight 5 of them. One is poverty. No poverty is one main goal. One main goal is good and health, decent work and economic growth. I don't have my glasses, sorry. And sustainable accommodation, and of course climate action, which for me personally is the biggest goal, because in my personal opinion, climate change and the threat of that is the biggest challenges humankind is facing to, and we have to find solutions for that. Probably you in the real estate industry, and me, same, I'm part of it since almost 30 years. What is the biggest market in the world? Okay, I was reacting like that also a few years ago. I expected it as real estate, something solid with piece and land and construction on it. No, it's energy. By far, it's energy. Energy is the biggest market in the world. And there is a big need to transform this biggest market into green energy. This is the green energy transition or the green revolution. You hear these buzzwords regularly, and this is my main topic which I want to talk today about. Building and construction are responsible for almost 40% of carbon emissions. 40%. It's amazing. And then the next slide you will see, after I will give you some more figures, but just to let you know, the market is growing. We have an impact sector volume of between 2.8, 2.9 to 18 billion euro per year, and it's growing. It's a huge market. It's the biggest market inside the energy sector, which is growing, and energy is the biggest sector in the world. Here we see the proportion between, I think, more commercial real estate professionals are here today. Almost one third of the 37%, 10% is non-residential, meaning commercial. 17% of the 73% is residential, and the 10% is construction industry again. So we here all together, mainly in the commercial real estate industry, have the possibility to reduce carbon gas emissions by making right decisions up to 10%. That's huge. Aviation alone is much less than that. Flight blaming is a big word. We have to fly, we have to make appointments, we have to meet again. We cannot only meet on video channels, we have to build trust. But we should not give up life quality. but we can try to find solutions in the construction and in the real estate industry, and I want to talk about them. Electricity, heating are the main drivers for the carbon gas emissions. And we have heard that a lot of investors today say, okay, we want to do something. There are laws, there are regulations, there are EU taxonomy, the Climate Change Act of the German authority. These are borders next to our motorway where we by time have to find our route. But I want to line out something which should make us all think about. According to McKinsey, a study of diversified equity portfolio found that absent mitigant action and climate risks could reduce annual returns by as much as X% by the end of the decade, which is in 8 years. Guess how much it is? Annual returns. It's 40%. It's not 14, it's 40. It's in 8 years. It's from McKinsey. We have heard also from Alexander Happ that cradle-to-cradle system. I know Professor Dr. Michael Braungart personally. I am very open to this. I'm a kind of fan of him. He's an icon in the Kreislaufwirtschaft, in the circular economy. He's one of the founders. And his invention of the cradle-to-cradle system, just to give an example, 30 years ago, the seats in the Lufthansa flights were hazardous waste at the end of the production cycle, of the life cycle. Today, you can throw them on compost. They're compostable. And this is what he says. We have to smash, he says, a little bit of brain at the beginning of the production process. Ein bisschen Hirn an den Anfang des Produktionsprozesses hinschmeißen. That's in German. And he loves to talk like this because it's quite simple. Because if you do this at the end of the life cycle, the same product costs us less than at the beginning. But it needs a little bit research, it needs knowledge, and this is possible also in our industry. We have heard a lot of greenwashing examples here from Frankfurt the last months, which I really would say, in the meantime, people really realize that this is not possible for the future anymore. Clients, customers get more and more critical. You cannot just put a green button on your website and say, now we are green. If you do it, you have to do it right. Just to give an example, solar is always a big discussion. Roofs are available everywhere. Just theoretically, I know it's not possible, but just to know, if on any available roof in the world we would install a solar plant, it would be 6 times more than energy we all need. All the humankind, all the industry. It's a tremendous number, I know. Now the criticals and let's say the people who don't believe in climate change, which I more and more get angry about, by the way, say it's not possible, we have to store it. Yes, storage is an issue, we know this. But just theoretically, 6 times more than we all need, just by solar. No wind necessary. Cement is a big issue. Cement, I don't know if you know it. I found it out recently. I try to learn regularly. I'm in contact with different high schools in the ETH in Zurich and also the TU Munich. Sand is rare, raw material. Our oceans and lakes are lacking of sand. You need tons of sand to produce cement and concrete together, and to put them together to produce concrete, beton. And there's really a sand mafia around in the world. And unfortunately, all the sand in the desert, Sahara, the Middle East, is not possible to use for that. It's round. We need a structure where the binding of the materials is possible. All the Sahara sand is not possible to produce concrete out of it. So there is an absolute need to find alternative building materials. And my big topic is always wood. That's how it should look like, the forests, when we keep them. That's how they would look like if we all build with wood. I like wood. It's romantic. I have a wood table at home. It's wonderful. We sometimes use at the beams for the logistics space, the Unterzüge, we use wood because they're more stable and more fire resistant. But if all Germany would now from one day to the other would only build with wood, we would not have enough forest. And imagine just China. China has built yearly, recently, in 1 year more construction and buildings than the US between the end of the Second World War up to today, yearly. Imagine what would happen if they would build everything with wood. Wood is a bit too much, I don't know how to say. We should add it. We have to find solutions to combine wood with other materials. And we have to build it circular. We have to make it, at the beginning of the production cycle, we have to make it due to the cradle-to-cradle system. There are also new foundings from different startups and universities where they want to mix it. They want to mix 50%. It's all in the trial phase. It's not market ready so far. So unfortunately today, there is no other way than using concrete up to today. But in the next 2 to 3 years, there will be alternative models. The biggest problem today is that the stability is not high enough. We can build not high houses, and this is the problem facing today, but there are solutions for that to be solved in the next future. Yes, now I want to talk about, I know we are almost having lunch and I don't want you to lose your appetite, but I want to discuss with you about good property locations worldwide and if this is good for you to invest there. Canada recently, Siberia, USA, Germany last year. 2008, Al Gore had same animations. Okay, I accept he was trying to become president. He had his own agenda. No problem. But he was putting pictures like that on the wall and saying this will happen in the next 30 years. And everybody was laughing. They didn't believe. They said, okay, this will happen. If the desert gets hotter, I don't care. This is today. It's getting faster and faster. And we saw an animation at the beginning of this topic today of my presentation. So we cannot ignore that anymore. That's the reality. I talked about the devaluation possibilities if you don't take action in regards of your portfolio, of a diversified portfolio, and then this decade. It will risk return loss of up to 40%. Why? And I really liked what Alexander said. For me, it was the main point. Where is the driver? Okay, the laws say in the next 2-3 years we have to regulate us to the EU taxonomy and all the regulations and laws. Fine. But the tenants are asking for that. Our clients. Without tenants, there is no real estate industry. For whom are we building that properties? And it's a must in 3 to 5 years that any DAX company will have a green building when they lease new properties. It's a must that clients and consumers ask for that, also in residential buildings. They need it, they want it, and they want to do something. We cannot ignore it anymore in the real estate industry. We earned so much the last 10 years. We had low interest rates. We had so much capital. We have to do it now. It's our responsibility. For me, this question is clear. It's not necessity or virtue. It's a necessity. If we don't act today, we will just be watching. And I want to really point out that my personal view is that we misuse nature. We really misuse it. It's not fair. It's like gender parity. It's also not fair. But what we do with our nature also has an effect to our children, to the next generations. And it's that why we should do it. It's about nature. It's about us. It's about human. We are part of it. We enjoy these turtles when we go to somewhere in the Maldives or Seychelles and feel like we are part of it, right? We dive. We want to touch them. Okay. But I don't know if you know, the corals there are already they bleach again. They recovered, but now they bleach again. It's getting warmer and warmer. In 10, 15 years, our children probably cannot see that anymore. We talked about Cradle-to-cradle. Professor Dr. Michael Braungart. Can anybody here recommend to get in touch with him? I want to support his idea of Cradle-to-cradle. It's an NGO, it's a non-profitable organization, and they offer their services also to the real estate industry. Heat pumps, photovoltaic, these are the possibilities of today. And they're possible. You can reduce carbon emissions dramatically by using them. And you should do this. Not only because you get some KfW supportings from the German government. And we all know we cannot really trust them then, right? The goal is to be climate neutral and probably even climate positive. And I want to give also some examples about startups, about inventions which try to find solutions for that. Yeah, it's flying wind turbines, if you ask yourself what this is. It's not children who are playing on a field. It's a TU spin-off from Munich, from the Technische Universität. It's Kitecraft. And these four genius guys have developed the first flying wind turbine in the world. It's flying on 8. You send electricity up with a connection, and when they are up in 150 to 200 meters, they got uplifts like a dragon, and they can fly then with the uplifts of the movement of the airplane. It's an airplane. They can produce power, and they then send power down. It's now 2 feet 40 the width. It will be up to 42 meters in 2 to 3 years. And it's working today. It's the first company in the world who's flying on 8. Google tried to do it, failed. It's a German invention.
Renewable energy sources are our future, but we need to store electricity efficiently to make it available 24/7. And we also need to generate heat and cold from renewables in order to replace fossil fuels. Introducing 𝐸𝐴𝐻, a clean, efficient, and profitable solution that combines electricity storage with heat and cold generation in one device. Here's how the patented compressed air technology works. During charging of 𝐸𝐴𝐻, air is compressed, which consumes electricity and generates heat. At a later point in time during discharging, the compressed air in the storage tanks is expanded, which generates electricity and cold. This combined approach saves money by a short amortization time, works with air and water only, and is 100% recyclable. Join the journey into a green energy future.
A Swiss company won different green tech awards, and it's supposed to come on the market ready in the next 2 to 3 years. In the moment, it's in the Swiss Innovation Center. It's a kind of lab where the Swiss authorities or the Swiss government offers a surrounding for startups to establish their foundings, their inventions, and to demonstrate that it works also in a big scale. It will work also in an industrial scale, especially for big projects. This is SynPower. I invested 2017 while I was still a young entrepreneur. I'm 48 now, so it's 4 years ago. I still feel young. Almost 50% of my yearly income, instead of investing that into real estate and getting much faster returns out of project developments. It was a bet that time. Everybody was saying, wow, my gosh, what's happening with Umut? He is a real estate professional, logistics, industrial. He knows something about that stuff, but why now this wave stuff? It was a recommendation by a friend. It was out of blue. It was not planned that I become an impact investor. But in the meantime, I invested more than, let's say, 60-70% of my annual returns the last 5 years in impact investment. And I didn't know that this situation will come to the war in Ukraine. It's a dramatically situation which came now also on the paper. But in the meantime, everybody wants to have green technology. And what happened in the last 5 years with this development, you saw it here. We can build platforms on the sea, also on oceans. They're ocean wave resistant, up to 15-meter waves. We can produce today, this year, market-ready megawatt platforms on any site. We can build these platforms anywhere in the world, on lakes, on seas, where you can also see a storage space, respective a data center, where next to it, on the left side, we produce with wave energy. These are the wave energy converters, the yellow one, with solar and little wind propellers. So it's 3 devices on one platform. We call it SOCIAN, solar on the ocean, in combination with wind and waves. And just I figured out before also the number regarding solar. If we can achieve to put out 0.1%, less than 1%, 10% of 10%, and we get access to the waves of the ocean, to the energy, we can also solve the energy problem of the world. It's much less than solar. And we are trying to combine that. In the moment, the energy prices are increasing. So we are coming closer and closer also to this technology that wave energy alone, can probably be an additional source in the renewable energy sector market. But for now, we produce these floating solar platforms worldwide, and we can produce them anywhere, on any Baggersee, on any lake, on any coastal line, all around the world. We are planning this year to start with our first site in Dubai, and we are also building big solar fields all around the world. A last number again, because here's a lot of capital in this room. I feel it. We're in Frankfurt. So I want to line out this impact investments, including green tech. I know this is real estate, it's a real estate fair, but we are very related to the construction industry and, of course, the cement and beton and concrete. I highlighted that. It's really increasing. And if you or your partners, whoever you know, is interested to invest, I can highly recommend that to do. It's a growing market. These are all by Roland Berger, Green Tech, these figures. And my last appeal to you all is, let us all try not to be frogs, sitting in a hot water and watching each other, everybody with his own thoughts, me including. So, yeah. I hope I have touched the one or the other heart today, and also the brain in combination, please. And of course, I want to appeal on your conscience that you do something. We have the responsibility, because we have a substantial amount of the possibility to reduce carbon emissions. And I hope that you liked my presentation. You find some contact details on the last slide. You can also follow me on LinkedIn if you want this. And thank you very much for the invitation. And I wish you all a good appetite for the lunch.